Hello. So we have already seen how we can communicate from the class to template, right? So we will see another way to the same thing, means communication from class to template. So first time we have seen using interpolation. Okay. Here we will see using property binding, right? So, but this is again one-way communication from where class to template. Okay. How this is happening? You have written the expression there, right? So you have written this expression, and what you are doing, you are binding using interpolation, or you are binding the same expression using property binding. Okay, so let's understand first of all what is property, what is the meaning of property. Okay, so in very easy way I am telling you, in HTML whatever element you are write, okay, you have written div something. Okay, so this is the HTML representation. This is the HTML representation. When you want to see the representation in JavaScript, okay, so this is about the object, or there are multiple properties and multiple values. Okay, so these all property call the valid property of this div. So this is the same case of the table, of the image. So you are seeing these tags in HTML, and the same JS representation is one object. So let's see in the browser, it is there, it will make more sense. So what I want to say, suppose I want to see, this is the div, right? This is the div. So I want to see the JavaScript representation. Okay, so I want to show all the properties of this div. So how we can see? So in JavaScript, how we can do document dot get query selector and this div. So there I have one hack. So you can see this dollar $o, right? So on which element you suppose if I write one h1, and if I write there hello. Okay, so I have two elements which you can see there. Okay, now if I see this, so this is the dollar zero showing. If I x element, if I go there, so it is showing the dollar o. So it is the hack to catch the element. So suppose I want to catch this element, so this is the dollar o. I just go to the console tab and put there dollar o. So देखो, so there is the h1 element. Now I want to see the JavaScript representation. So what I will do, console.dir. Okay, I will write dollar $0, and when I do this, so this is the JavaScript representation for this h1. So these all are valid properties for this h1 tag, right? And if you want to see what is the valid properties for div, so you go and first inspect this, and you can see if I write $o, so this will give the HTML representation. And when I write console.dir, and if I write $0, so this is the JavaScript representation, right? So these are the valid properties which you can bind there. Okay, so whenever you ask what is the property, so you can see all the property of any element inside the console, and you can bind there. Okay, so first we see what is the interpolation is doing. So interpolation is the easy syntax. This is the easy syntax for the binding, for the property binding. So interpolation is the easy syntax for the property binding. What is the meaning? I tell you what this is doing behind the scene. And what is the easy syntax, what is the sugar syntax? This is the clean syntax. Okay, if I write, if I in the same thing I need to write in differently as a property binding, how I can do? Div, and I will write inner HTML equal to this title. Okay, and I close this div. So behind the scene, what see, this is the start technophile. So this is the property binding. What property binding is expecting? Whatever you have given inside the code, this is the expression. And this template, right, how this template is searching this expression in class, then in the same way this title keyword this expression is will be searched inside the class, right? If I write this inner HTML, there nothing will happen. See, right? Because we do not write this output like this in HTML, right? So how we do this? We do this using JavaScript. How? Like this. If I come there, so document, if I come there, right? So this is the document dot query selector dot inner HTML, right? So if I come there, dollar zero document dot query selector dot inner query selector, and this I want to query a div dot inner HTML. Okay, so in this inner HTML I can change the text. What I try to do from the JavaScript, I can do the same thing, right? So who is doing this? The same thing has been done by the Angular for me. Okay, so I comment, so it will help you, right, to understand what Angular is doing for us, right? So this is binding this inner HTML there, but you need to write the bracket. Then it will understand you are referring some properties, you are referring some expression. So don't be confused that this title is a string because you have written inside the double quote. No, this is string when you are giving without bracket. But if you are writing a bracket, Angular will understand this is the expression, and expression or variable, and this will be find, where this will be find, this will be available inside the class. Okay, so this is about the div. Okay, now let's take the another example. If I come image, okay, how I give the, so this is the attributes. So in HTML we called attribute, and when we see inside the JavaScript that these property, these things called as a properties, right? So in JavaScript I have the Google icon there. I just copy this image and I can give there, so it will show the Google icon there, right? Now the thing is I want to refer this icon from class. How I will do? I can first I create the logo variable, right? This is the string type, string equal to, this is the string type, and I give the logo there. Will it work? No, because this source is thinking this is a string, right? But this is not the valid string. See, logo is there. So what I want to do, I want to bind this property. So how I will do? I will wrap up inside the bracket, square bracket, and once I do, this is not a string, this is the expression. Now template will search this expression inside the class. So this is the another way to communication from class to template, right? So why we are doing? Because we will see further, because when we create the web application, there is a multiple time user action happen and this image source will be changed, right? So it will automatically will be changed there. We will see how this ecosystem work in Angular. So but this is about what we are learning there. This is about the communication, means you are writing expression there, you are writing properties there, you are interpolating, right? This is the sugar syntax of property binding. So if you see the image, how this is represent, if I just go and search this and come there, if I write that, see, when first you have to inspect and then $O is there on the image. If I go there and I see the $0, so this is the image. Now I need to see what is the valid property for this image. So I need to, what I need to do, I need to do console dot dir, and this is the $0. So where do you do this? This is the JavaScript representation, and there this source properties indicate by the source only. See, there are a lot of hundreds and hundred properties are there. This is the source property, right? So how we do document dot query selector dot image dot source, right? If you remember, you do like this something, right? Document query selector, this is the image, and dot source equal to some source, right? The same thing who is doing Java Angular for you. What you do in traditional in JavaScript, this is being done by the Angular. So what you need to do, you only need to make this inside the bracket. And one more thing, you need to give the valid property. And where is the valid property exist? Inside the inside the JavaScript object. You take any property and you can directly bind, right? Let's see one more example. We have input type, input, and type text, and I have the value, right? What is the value? If I write my name Sarang Jain, so this is the Sarang Jain, right? This is directly coming there. Why? This is the value taking as a string. This is not a variable, not a property, not the expression. When this will be expression? When I will write the bracket there. Now this will give the error because it's finding the variable expression. So I need to give the name, and now I need to create another property name string type equal to Sarang Jain. Okay, so this is the name Sarang Jain. See, it's bound, and user click some action, click some button, and name has been changed inside it. It will automatically change there. So we will see later these all things. So what is happening if I just so how we do there in JavaScript? The same thing. You do this like document.query selector. You take the input and you change this property, right? On some action, so you are doing the same thing, right? Who is helping you? Angular is helping you to do this thing, right? This is more cleaner, right? More automated. But who is doing? This is Angular. So this is the interpolation, this is the property binding. You can bind any property, right? Which is the valid property, and where you can see the valid property inside the object, right? If I go there and if I just go to the console, if I write the $O, so this is the input representation in the HTML. If I see console.dir and if I see $0, so this is the JavaScript representation, and there is a value type. These all are the valid properties available there. You can check it, right? You can bind more properties. So this is the dynamic properties binding, means it is, this is not the string, this is the representation, this is the expression, and where this should be available inside the class, right? If you write any invalid property xyz equal to, right, name, if I want to try, this will give error. X by x is not a valid property of this input type, right? So you cannot give any invalid property, you need to bind the valid property. And now you know very well where this invalid property is available, right? So this is about the one-way communication using input using property binding.